Yo, what's up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, I want to take a look at one of the weapons in Battlefield 6 that's seen the biggest turnaround. This was one of the worst weapons in the game, it had tons of recoil, the bloom was completely out of control, but now, after the most recent changes, it's turned into one of the best and most consistent weapons that is available in Battlefield 6. So I will be explaining to you guys exactly why that is, giving you some of my loadout tips to get you started at a fairly low mastery level, and then we'll talk a little bit about whether hollow point ammo is going to be worth it as well. As always, if you guys enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that sub button to stay up to date with everything Battlefield. Leaving a like down below is always appreciated, and without further ado, let's just jump in. So the weapon I'm talking about here is the M277, which is a carbine, and on paper, it doesn't really look like anything super special. It's got 25 damage per bullet, it's got 720 rounds per minute, which isn't really too high. And before you get any attachments on this thing, it's very difficult to tame the recoil, and for that reason, I think a lot of people overlook this weapon and just move on to the next one. But if you're somebody who enjoys consistency, look no further than this gun, because it is quite literally the king of consistency. If we take a closer look here at the damage model, you'll see that whilst it does do 25 damage, it does that all the way out to 75 meters, meaning it is a 4-bullet kill for 75 meters, at which point it drops down to a 5-bullet kill. But let's face it, beyond 75 meters, you're not really going to be using a carbine anyway. You're probably either just not going to engage somebody at that distance, or you're going to switch to something like a sniper rifle. This also, of course, means this weapon has a 250 millisecond time to kill, again, all the way out to 75 meters, which is incredibly fast. Now, that's not to say this weapon isn't without its drawbacks here, and the first one is that it's only got 20 rounds in a magazine, and we are going to try to rectify that a little bit. The other one is that it has an incredible amount of kick to it. If we come into the test range here, and I just shoot at this wall, I am pulling down here for the recoil. You can see how much bloom there is, and if I don't pull down, well, you can see there is a fair amount of both upwards kick, and it veers off there to the right. So let's just see what we can do about this. I'm going to give you guys some of my recommendations. Okay, so first of all, let's come into the muzzle. I like to put on the 30-point lighten suppressor, and what this is going to do, as well as hiding you on the minimap to most ranges, is reduce recoil buildup and also improves recoil recovery at the cost of hipfire. I think this is one of the most important attachments to have on this weapon. If you get into the later levels here, you can switch this out for the long suppressor, which is going to just introduce a little bit of weapon sway, but otherwise it's going to do the same thing. So if you want to save the 5 points, you can totally do that. As we come to the barrel, I like to go with the 15-point extended one. That's going to buff our velocity up to 780 meters per second. I'm a big fan of that. I know for a lot of people, they may say 624 is enough for me. And in that case, you know, maybe you can just get away with like the heavy, or if you want to save 5 points, you could also go with the heavy extended, but then you're not going to get the extra buff there to the ADS speed. I do kind of like to have 200 millisecond ADS speed if I can get away with it. For the weapon ammunition, I like to run the 20 round fast magazine. As you can see, I don't have these unlocked yet, and that's because, like most of you guys, I shunned this weapon for a long time and didn't realize how good it was. But I have to say that another 15 points for 25 round fast magazine, which is only 5 more rounds, remember, isn't really worth it in my book. If you want to try and, you know, find the points somewhere in this build to get this magazine, then feel free to do that. We're going to be using the standard ammunition here. Obviously, the optic is personal preference, but I like to go with the mini flex. We are going to be taking, or I like to take, the green laser. You can take the red laser as well if you want a little bit worse hipfire, and so that enemy soldiers can't see this laser because it's completely invisible to them. Whereas the green laser, it does stick out a little bit, but I don't find that to be much of a detriment. And then it comes to the last one, and this is the underbarrel. I've been running the folding stubby grip. Now, a little bit later on, you are going to have the option to take something like the regular stubby for a few more points, which is going to give you a little bit better recoil control there. And again, that kind of comes down to personal preference. If you feel like you need that, then by all means, go ahead and do that. But I find that this is a pretty good balanced setup right now. And if we come into the test range, you're going to see that taking out targets at close ranges, just not a problem at all. I had 3 rounds left there as well. Even at these sorts of ranges, you are going to have to burst a little bit, obviously, because right out there we're at like 75 meters. So that's pretty much, you know, the end of the range you're going to be using for this weapon. I would probably say if you see somebody further than this, like maybe you could just put it in tap fire mode and kill them that way. But that 4-bullet kill is just so lightning fast. If we take a look at the recoil on the wall, like, that's not too bad at all. You can see it still kicks to the right, so you are going to want to basically, you know, pull the weapon down and to the right, and if you do that, it's not really the best wall to showcase recoil, apparently. You are going to get a pretty decent spray. Now, if you want to get some of these attachments unlocked really, really quick, and you guys have the premium or the pro version of the Battle Pass, come into Deniable Ops. The very first one here is a weapon package for the M277 called Carrion. And if we go back to Loadouts here, let me see, let's go M277. Yeah, this one right here, if you select that, you're going to see you'll have a couple of extra things available. So you will have this 30-point stubby if you want to use it. Again, I find that it's unnecessary. I think you even get this suppressor, if I recall correctly. So this is actually going to give you a nice starting build. Maybe it's a free tier, actually, from the Battle Pass. I can't recall, and it doesn't show me anymore whether it was free or not, but I'm guessing you probably need Battlefield Pro for it. But honestly, I wouldn't worry about it, because right now, I'm running a Mastery Level 19 M277, and this thing absolutely rips. You might say, why didn't you wait until you got it to level 50, try out every single attachment and give us, you know, the best attachments for it? But the way I look at it is, I prefer to put in a weapon guide that shows somebody the first moment where they can pick up the weapon and actually have it perform as you would want it to perform. Because as we know in Battlefield 6, a lot of the weapons, until you get a decent muzzle attachment, until you get a decent grip on there, a lot of them just aren't really very viable. And for this weapon, I'd say getting it to around Mastery 15 is where it's really going to start to come into its own. And that's kind of how I'm approaching my weapons in the game. Once I get them to this level, I would rather move on to another weapon and level that up and get that one up to par before I start mastering all of them. If I do come around and master this one, I'll be sure to do like some updated guides with like the absolute best setups in the future, but at the moment, of course, the game is so young, it's going to take a while to do that. Either way, with this build, I feel like you're able to negate really the only 2 bad things about the weapon, one of them being the recoil. The spread or the bloom has been massively improved with the recent update, and then the 20-round magazine. If you've got a fast magazine, you'd be surprised how many people, you can easily get 3 people, if not 4 people, with 20 rounds, if you're careful with where you use this weapon. And because it just is so consistent, you never end up in that awkward situation where you stop firing your weapon a little bit early and you just leave somebody alive by the skin of their teeth because they're at that 6-bullet or that 7-bullet to kill range. Or, even worse, you waste too many rounds trying to kill them. Because this weapon just always has that 4-bullet to kill all the way up to 75 meters, you can just really get dialed in and know exactly when you need to start shooting and when you need to stop to get the kill. Now finally, let's talk a little bit about whether hollow point ammunition is worth it. So that's the ammo that gives you a 1.5 headshot multiplier. This is going to cost you 15 more points on the build, and if I had to put this on my weapon, I would probably get rid of the laser for 10 points and then take the other barrel that only costs 10 points. So go down from the 15-point barrel to the 10-point barrel, and that should allow you to sneak hollow point ammunition in there. However, it's not worth it, and we can see from this graph here, if you only score 1 headshot. If you only score 1 headshot, and remember, it's a 4-bullet kill, so 1 out of 4 there, it's still going to have the same amount of bullets to kill as the regular headshot multiplier, and even if you score all body shots. So you literally be just wasting your time not going for center mass. However, if you can score 2 headshots, then you are going to turn this weapon from a 4-bullet to kill into a 3-bullet to kill all the way out to 75 meters with the hollow point ammo. Again, if you don't have the hollow point ammo, you can see that it's not worth going for headshots here, but that means you have to score 2 out of 3 headshots now, so you do have to be quite accurate. It probably is worth trying it out, you know, try hitting those headshots But again, this weapon does have a considerable amount of kick to it, and for that reason, it's likely that you'll score the first headshot, but then it'll start to veer off, maybe with a little bit of horizontal recoil, and it's going to be difficult to score the second one. So personally, I don't really think it's worth it. It's a little bit situational, but feel free to experiment with it if you like. So there you go, guys. That is one of the best new weapons in Battlefield 6's Season 1 at the moment. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leaving a like down below is always appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with everything Battlefield 6, and I will see you all in the next video.